Is it fine? Or did my three favorite shows, which is Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Gravity Falls, and Rick and Morty?
He has been away for a few months, but he has been busy that day.
I have been busy, but not that busy.
So stop acting like one.
Hey, at least I'm not all keyed up to watch a kids show.
Really? You're gonna pull that move?
And here we go. This is another Rick and Moon and Ford video, which is I'm going to be talking about. Because since Gravity Falls has ended, and also when Journal 3 has released, there are some Rick and Morty references and Easter eggs in the book. And that theory is the Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty crossover theory, which is like any title we're not concerned about, just go with is Stanford Rick Friends. I'll go with that title. Because that theory has been going on since it has since after the 1 year later since Gravity Falls has ended. But until this, the theory is still continuing, but I'm doing it a little bit differently. Is that what if one Star versus character has to do with this crossover theory, and that is where Moon Butterfly comes in to this theory, which is she might make a likely character to be part of the Star versus theory that will be crossovering to the Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty theory. And yep, that's where I'm considering that these three characters that I usually like the most in those three shows is Rick Sanchez, Moon Butterfly, and Stanford Pines. And yep, that's what I've been through away from YouTube, because I've been creating this series that I'm going to make on YouTube, which is going to be my thing now. But people see that this theory I'm doing is with one Star versus character, which is Moon, has to do with the Gravity Falls Rick and Morty crossover theory, which is Stanford Rick Friends and Rick knows Bill theory, which is they say if Moon's part of the theory, like people see that it's unlikely of one Star versus character has to do with that theory. I'm going to see if this is true or false, if Star versus the Forces of Evil has to do with Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty theory. Now the word I said is Rick Sanchez, Moon Butterfly, and Stanford Pines. They had a long history with each other, and they mean it. And they are great partners in a crime situation. And what this means, two similarities that got my mind racing, is that Rick, Moon, and Stanford all met and gathered to a different dimension to fight and against an oppressive dark force. Well, this is way before when any of the characters primes, as in Moon becomes the next Queen of Muni, and Rick used to run a great rock band and not alcohol. But not till then, the characters that they have to prime to be, well, who they are. But there are similarities with those three that they wanted to be. This is what I found out. Rick intends that he wants to be a great man so he could become a great scientist in the entire world. But not till then, someone has changed him to be in a different path, completely making Rick to become the most wanted criminal in the entire universe. And like what Bird Person mentions, he has the power to save or destroy entire worlds. And what's for all to him is that he will do this every time. And that's where we know this is the Rick that we know and love today. Moon's mother died because she got killed by a Septarian. Now because she knows that it is time for her to become the next Queen of Moon. Way before any of this happened, Moon was a beloved happy girl just like her daughter Star. She just wants to be a normal girl. Later then, she makes a deal with the Eclipse. She uses a dark, unknown spell to use it against Toffee as a warning shot. A few years later, now we know this is Moon that we know today. Back then, in Stanford Pine's younger years, he wanted to be the most greatest successful scientist in history. And that later then, that dream became true. And now he has registered to be in this greatest scientific college ever. Not till then, Stanley's twin brother, later then, he breaks Stanford's science experiment machine. But not till then, Stanford loses hope and he wasn't registered. Till then, he found out that his twin brother Stanley has sabotaged his experiment. He was kicked out from the house and Stanford has to move on to a new plan. Until then, later, he has become one of the most greatest paranormal investigator in Gravity Falls. Until later that day, Stanford has created an interdimensional gateway that leads to different universes, and he needs Stanley to take care of the last journal. Till Stanley brings up the past, and then they got into a big fight, and not till then, Stanley pushes his brother to interdimensional portal. And that's where Stanford is lost forever. Not till then, 30 years later, he has returned. And that's where we know in history this is Stanford Pines that we know today. Well, I couldn't make this video any more longer because I had to stop here. So, till then, I'll make some more videos of Rick and Morty for soon. Because so then I'll make the 2 theories sooner. Or maybe probably next year. But just stay tuned for that. Until then, see you guys later. Have a good life.
Why is it everybody so offensive around here?
Bring me back me missing cogs. Oh,